Okay, so Night of Champions predictions. First up, we have combine the two of these here. They've got the YouTube pre-show, which is a
Yep.
battle royal for the #1 contendership to the United States Championship
Yeah, winner gets a title shot later in the night deal.
against the U.S. champ Antonio Cesaro, who a lot of people have actually said to me, "Who the fuck is Antonio Cesaro?" Which
Oh
is
my
No doubt.
fucking
yeah.
day. You don't know who Antonio Cesaro is, people?
Well, I can't blame them because WWE
I
isn't
can't
really.
blame them either.
He's not showing
One
them that
half
much.
of the Kings of Wrestling,
Yeah,
Claudio Castagnoli. Yes, he's one of those guys who were relegated to superstars and NXT at one point. But look at the way he wrestles. He's got that European catch style wrestling. He can high fly. He can freaking use submission. He can do anything. He's so eclectic. Plus, he knows every single phrase in every single language.
I hate that
that
fucking
he
gimmick.
probably like took a while memorizing in the back before he went out to cut the promo. But
Google Translate.
yeah, regardless, well, at least he's kind of putting maybe a bit of like the accent behind it, so it kind of sounds a little more legit. So props to him for that. So are we going to like go on full on and try and predict who's going to win this battle royal, basically?
For the most part, but before we get into that, I want to touch upon that gimmick real quick. It sucks
Okay, no
ass. I
problem.
fucking hate that gimmick. I really hate it.
It's dull. It's very dull.
If uh
I've seen
if Damian
it's
Sandow did
duller
it,
than most butter knives.
I mean, yeah, they've had worse gimmicks, but Sandow's doing the intellectual thing right now. They don't need to do that with Cesaro. You know, I mean,
Well,
he's got
Sandow is he's a brilliant mic worker, and he's making it work through cutting basically old school catch heat promos, and he's just taking his gimmick by storm. This you know all Cesaro's really doing is saying one word in a bunch of different languages and then saying, yes, Antonio Cesaro equal this.
right
And that's the equivalent of his promos. Whereas Sandow's promos, they have way more
substance.
material and substance, the context to them that people care about him. They love to hate him. He's been on a roll. And with Cesaro, it just seems like he just hasn't connected with the crowd whatsoever. His run's a bit ever since even winning the title. I find his run's been a little dull,
Mhm.
personally, and that's no fault of his.
Right.
They're just not providing him with anything. The man's a phenomenal talent. I'm not taking anything away from him, but the way that he's just been like he's even put in the background behind the tag team division. Like the U.S. title is probably at like an all-time low in terms of prestige.
And it doesn't help that
Seriously.
Santino is
Yeah,
the one that he beat.
yeah, that's the problem. I think Santino lowered that title, and they need. I think Cesaro, once he gets into a nice little feud, will elevate that title back up. I don't believe that Cesaro anytime soon is going to lose any momentum for that title. The only way is up.
I
And
think.
as for the winner of the Battle Royal, I pick Christian.
See, I think that Cesaro's in a tough spot right now. The kind of similar way to to what Drew McIntyre did with the Intercontinental title, where he can move it up from Santino, but he's not going to move it back to good U.S. title because they're not going to let him. They're not going to give him these kind of good feuds with
Well,
everybody. Like at the very
on top of
best,
that,
it'll be the next person could do it by having a better lead in instead of Santino, unless the next person's
it's
Santino.
it's kind of like at least McIntyre beat Morrison for the Intercontinental title. His problem was just like he couldn't connect with a crowd worth anything,
Hmm.
and they lost faith in him, made him drop the title, and that was that. With Cesaro, he didn't win the title, and like he didn't beat somebody who's seen as credible in the eyes of the fans, and he, other than winning the U.S. title from Santino, hasn't really done much at all in terms of promos or anything. Most memorable thing I could remember before winning the title was that match he had with Christian back on SmackDown during summer. I forget if it was before SummerSlam for sure, and that was Cesaro's first loss. That was a really good match. But as much as I'd like to see that happen, I don't see Christian winning the Battle Royal because there's this big, huge, like, rumor going around that WWE is actually keeping him off TV because he's making another TNA appearance, and they don't want him on their show until he makes that Bound for Glory appearance or whatever. Anybody else hear this rumor?
Yeah, I
I did.
heard about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I actually believe it, and like, Vince would be the type of person to do that. So I think that kind of makes his chances of being in this battle royal a little shady. I'm gonna
I
go out.
should say
Like,
this,
imagine.
because they're going to start. If they're going to start things with him and Cesaro, I believe they're going to start it now. Because there's rumored that he's going to be starting feud with Cesaro. So I think that's going to happen now. And as far as all that bullshit,
Unless Cesaro's just food.
probably.
Anybody get my
Right.
my joke there?
Yeah, maybe a little Ryback thing. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
possibility.
yeah.
Please,
Ryback could just
I
kill
hope
everybody.
Ryback
He
stays
could just
far
kill everybody
off
in the
fucking-
battle royal, and then he'd go out there and destroy Cesaro in like a minute, and then
I'll feed
beat him for the U.S. title,
breakfast.
just like that, Goldberg style.
I think that there's really only kind of a couple people that could win this. I don't think it'll be Christian, and I think it's because of the Bound for Glory thing.
Yeah, me too.
Then again, I haven't watched SmackDown yet this week because I'm recording this a little bit later, and I just didn't have time and everything. But so I don't know if they planted any seeds for anything like that. But the four people that I really would narrow it down to are Brodus Clay,
No.
Santino again, which I really hope that that's not the
Probably.
case. Tyson Kidd, where he could just be
Yes.
fed to Cesaro, and it could just be Tyson Kidd against Cesaro for Raw and SmackDown for like 2 weeks, and then they move on to some actual feud. Because it really seems like they just decided at the last minute, oh fuck, I forgot about the U.S. title. Battle Royal, I don't know, that'll do it. Or possibly Ryback. I could see them doing Ryback and having Cesaro win by like count out or something like that. If they do have Ryback and they do have him with the United States Championship, I don't think it's the right move yet. But he is catching on, so I wouldn't be too surprised if that happened. I mean, you could actually hear people chanting, "Feed me more." And I don't know, maybe if that's the case, then Cesaro can figure out a way to order food in a bunch of different languages.
Yeah, I see that going down. Or if the U.S. title isn't going to change hands, then Ryback is definitely not going to be in this battle royal. And I see it being won by like Zack Ryder.
Ryder, yeah, I forgot about Ryder.
Just somebody that the fans can get behind, put on a decent little match with Cesaro, ultimately lose in the end, give Cesaro more heat, and he retains the title. It's either one of the two. Either Ryback's going to kill everyone in the Battle Royal and like basically destroy Cesaro and win his first championship, or they're going to stay focused on this Cesaro title reign and just feed a popular face to him, no pun intended, later in the evening. And my choice for that would be, if Ryback isn't going to win, I think they're going to have Zack Ryder get the title shot at the pay-per-view. Well, we'll see. It's either going to go one of two ways, in my opinion.
Certainly not going to be Alex Riley because they don't ever seem to want to push him.
No, they don't want that man on television. It's like a sin for him to even be seen more than just a backstage segment every 3 months. Such a shame.
Yeah, it
Where
is.
did his career go? Man has so much potential.
Next part, we're going to talk about a fun one, the Divas Championship. Look out for that one.